Matthew Ivanhoe, president of the Cultivated Collector, thank you so much for coming to an absolutely incredible episode here. I mean, just look at the car behind us. I really shouldn't need to give much of an introduction to the Saleen S7. We have Emmanuel, who's the head of the S7 Registry, to tell us about why these cars are so incredible. So Emmanuel, thank you so much for coming by. This is really exciting for us to have you here.
Thanks for the invite.
Of course, man. I mean, you drove up 15 hours to come see this thing.
You reached out Thursday and said, come on out. And I said, challenge accepted. So yeah, 15-hour trip, and it's been pretty fun, so.
Absolutely.
You're right, this car needs no introduction, so. I saw this car, photos back in the early 2000s, and it was a yellow one, chassis 17. I thought it was just the most beautiful car ever. In 2004, I saw the chassis from Bruce Almighty at the Detroit Auto Show.
Whoa, nice car, man.
Yeah, it gets me from A to B.
And you know, over the years, I've seen some pretty impressive cars, but never another S7. So I started tracking them, saving all the VIN numbers, and wondered what happened to that chassis 16. This is the 12th one I've been around, and it's been pretty fun.
What to you makes the S7 so special?
I think the history of the car from the very beginning, you hear these rumors about the car could be driven upside down at 160, 170 miles an hour.
That was crazy.
You know, you didn't hear about stuff back then of a car that was capable of doing that. You know, these cars, you know, 550 horsepower in 2000 when I was a kid. That was a whole lot of power. Nothing in the world had that.
And then, I mean, and not to mention the racing pedigree that the car wound up having.
It went racing for sure. It went to Ferrari's home track to race against the MC12. Ferrari brought in everybody to race against the S7, and they had invited the Saleen engineers, Steve Saleen, Billy Telly. They invited the whole crew over after the racing. When the S7 took victory at that race in 2002, Ferrari did not want anyone from Saleen to come after a loss. When we talk about rarity of these cars, of any modern day cars, you know, we think rare is in a couple hundred cars being produced, 300-400 cars. 72 of these cars left the factory. Of those, 16 were race cars and 21 were NAs. Saleen built the LM back in 2010. They will tell you they made 7, but they really only made 3.
I thought it was 3, so, yeah, 3 cars. Yeah.
And they're all identical. You can't tell them apart. Even for me, who tracks these cars and looks at pictures all day long, it's impossible. But the NA for sure is my favorite.
It's homologation car. It's how they homologated the car to go racing. And anything that we can do to get closer to the purest form of the car is what we seek. And I'm not saying that turbo's an impure car, it's not. But the car that we have behind us is one of the NA cars that allowed Saleen to go racing, and that automatically just makes it the pure thing, you know?
Of the 21 NA cars, 19, I believe are still around. One of them has crashed and burned, or it burned down supposedly at a gas station.
Okay.
That's the rumors. One of them has been sent to Russia, chassis 19. That car is still out there somewhere. I don't know too much more about it. And then a late model NA had been sent back to the factory to be twin turboed. You're talking 19 cars now, NAs, you know, and a couple have left the States.
Yeah.
So when people say they've never seen one, yeah, it's rarer than rare, I would say.
It's, I mean, and let's call a spade here. I mean, we're talking CLK GTR, 911 GT1, XJR15 type rarity. when you look at it next to its peers, it's an absolutely incredible car. But I guess another thing that I would be curious to know is how many of those cars survive today that haven't had an incident?
13, 14.
Okay.
And, you know, this is probably one of the nicer examples. This one from the start had the tri-Y package done to it, which is a horsepower increase from 550 to 625. There's only 5, maybe 6 of these cars from the factory, and it went from 550 to 625.
It's a pretty solid difference.
When you talk about race cars, this exhaust, the headers, were taken from the S7R, put onto a street legal car, retuned, and got to 625 horsepower.
It's so light, it's so pure, it's so focused, and yeah, 625 in this car it's a lot.
Once
I mean,
again, you know, from 2003, that was a lot of power.
No driver aids, no nothing. You are on your own. It's you and your talent, and you better make sure you don't run out of talent in that car. We've seen other naturally aspirated S7s, but a lot of, you know, finding one that's this well preserved, this nice, with the 625, all that is something that I've been searching for other comparable cars to this for years. You know,
we have talked about that over the years.
Ad
and,
nauseum.
You know, I've tried to, we've been in communication here and there, and yeah, it's hard. These don't come up for sale very often, and no one wants to let them go. Understandable. These are, if you let yours go today and regret it next year, you're not finding another one.
Correct.
The gap between the NA and the TT was so far apart at one point in time. These are the ones that people are looking for now, the NAs. NAs will exceed the TT price at some point, I do believe, and these are the ones that I'm asked about the most. Where can I find an NA? Usually you just miss one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look how beautiful the car is. I mean,
yeah.
20 years later, 23 years later, just timeless.
You drive this down any main street in any town, and you get out of this thing, and people will stop you and say, like, what is this new supercar?
Yeah.
What is this new hypercar? Like, it's something that still makes you feel like it was just designed.
I agree, you know, and today, I mean, they are building faster, more powerful cars. But who cares?
And?
I mean, no one's building one this beautiful still, you know? I mean, 625 horsepower, you know, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, let's call it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still fast enough. It's still going to compete with anything being built today.
Yep. No driver aids, stick shift. It is a actual driver's car, which is, I mean, to call that a dying breed would be the understatement of the century. I mean, you don't have, in this day and age, you don't have anything, you know, short of the Gordon Murray cars. You don't have anything out there really, or the Pagani Utopia. Get a stick shift in a hypercar, and even those cars have, you know, untold numbers of driver aids and other things like that. I mean, this car, it's you in the car.
You are the driver.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
the first time I got to ride in one of these was a couple of years ago outside of Detroit. I think he was a race car driver in his past life, because I have never seen someone drive so fast and so hard. I mean, when he had that accelerator pinned to the floor, it kept you in back of the seat. You were never, you know, gonna be able to move your head or, you know, move anywhere. In every change gear, you know, it wants to go, and no matter what he threw at it, it wasn't enough. And the car wanted more. You could feel it. I'm sure I couldn't see what we were doing, but I'm sure we were doing triple digits a few times.
Go, you know, do not pass go, do not collect $200, straight to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just incredible. You know, I'll never forget that drive. And, you know, from 2004 to 2020, 21, never saw an S7. And a registry started that. So I would recommend anyone, if they have a favorite car, just start a registry. Reach out to owners, you know, eventually they'll reach out to you, and maybe you'll be able to ride shotgun in a car. I mean, and maybe, you know, you get invited to come down here, so.
Yeah, it's the onus, the responsibility really winds up falling on passionate enthusiasts who've spent years of their lives just accumulating information and parsing through it and figuring it all out to give people the confidence to know what they're buying and what they're, what they're doing. So just, I guess on behalf of everyone who loves these cars, thank you, because it would be pretty difficult to do otherwise. I mean, Saleen, cool cars, cool story, a difficult, like a one that has some challenges in figuring the story out. So having an independent third party who's there just to determine the history is very, very important to us. So thank you.
Yeah, when we talk about, why was this car designed and produced, it was because Saleen had won everything, with the Mustangs, and they couldn't go no further with the Mustangs, and they want to try something different. So they designed the SR, the Saleen SR of the late 90s. It was too expensive, and Saleen figured it was cheaper to design a car from the ground up. And Phil Frank had a clean sheet of paper. And look what he did. I mean, timeless. It's 25 years later, and there's nothing that will ever look as good as this.
A lot of sports cars or supercars have really been developed out of racing. Our motorsports background has really enabled us to take almost 99% of what we've learned on the racetrack and put it into our street cars.
And it's funny because, like, taking a step back and looking at that, at Steve's logic, it's crazy. Oh yeah, it's easier to just build a supercar from the ground up. Like, thinking about what that involves today is insane. I don't think that we're going out on a limb here when we say that this car is hypercar territory. This is
I would agree. I've asked the question, is this a supercar or a hypercar? It fits the bill as a hypercar.
I agree.
Before, Paganis were really around.
I think that this car came about in one of the last eras where that was really possible for a small volume manufacturer to pull something like that off.
You would not be able to produce this car today by any means, especially in the numbers that we see today of 71, 72 cars.
How expensive? I mean, these were really expensive when they were new. These were crazy expensive.
375, 400,000.
Rich guys who are into racing can rev up in this. This billionaire toy is the fastest street legal car in America. Rev it up, Mr. Rich Guy.
There we go.
Hit the button.
In 2003, 2004, you were talking
Real money.
Murcielago money, if not.
This Carrera GT, you're kissing on Carrera GT money.
Yes. I'm surprised these aren't, over $1 million at this point. They are headed that way.
Yeah. It is a car that is.
It looks like $1 million just sitting right here. I mean, what car of the early 2000s still looks as good?
Yeah.
In person, my son has a picture of this car on his wall still. So.
Moreover, I think that's one of the big reasons that you and I are drawn to these cars, right?
Right. And,
absolutely.
I remember some of those early messages of you and I talking. We've loved this car since, our friend originally bought this car, and just to be here, thank you so much.
No, it's truly my pleasure, and yeah, thank you for taking the time to drive up here and share this car with us, and thank you for coming, and we certainly hope to have you back here for more S7s. But yeah, with that, I think we're gonna sign off here. I'm Matthew Ivanhoe, president of the Cultivated Collector. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time.